welcome back to another YouTube video at Ungainly Titan. And I want to talk a little bit about the first look at the Leopard Prototyp A and the pain in the ass, as I referred to it when I started out. Although I may not have, well, actually I think I was fair, but this was a video that almost didn't happen. I developed a really intense dislike of this tank when I started it last weekend. Now, part of that is the tank's fault, and part of it I think was the map rotation's fault. This tank is extremely fragile. The best frontal armour is 71mm on the upper front glacis at the bow of the tank, and that is fairly lightly armoured for a tier 9 tank. It's, well, there are better armoured tier 5 medium tanks. The T-34, for instance, is better armoured than this. So, and I just wanted to include that little clip to show just the fragility, should we say, of the tank. So, 20 games into the tank stock, and I was nearly ready to give up. Because it's not just the armour was a problem. Aside from the fact that no lady with a butter knife could probably penetrate the armour of this tank, and it's very vulnerable, I noticed, to high explosive damage and artillery. In particular, artillery doesn't have to hit it. A near miss from artillery can remove a massive chunk of your hit points, and it also kills crew members. I haven't found a problem with ammo racks. I know that Mighty Jingles always complains about the ammo racks in this tank. Now, I would expect the ammo racks to be pretty vulnerable. There's a very large ammo rack in the front left hand side of the tank, just beside the driver and in front of the main crew compartment. So it's another one of these tanks that I'd completely adjust my playstyle for, a bit like the Czech mediums. But the other problem is that it only has two guns. There's a 9cm Cannone, which is the kind of the stock gun, and it's the gun from most of the packages. This 9cm Cannone has a 2.5 second aiming time and a 0.34 second accuracy, which you think is not bad. It's better, say, than the Czech tanks generally. But the problem is that it's got 212mm of penetration and 259 with premium ammo at tier 9, which really doesn't cut it, at least. And the thing is that the tank, particularly on the first weekend that I was using it, a lot of the maps are small maps. So we were getting a lot of restricted maps, mines. The new map is a relatively small map. I think Sand River was one of the bigger maps that we'd have, where there'd be opportunities to shoot without necessarily being shot back at immediately, or without being, so to say, in immediate threat range and things like that. So, restricted terrain, restricted lines of sight and stuff like that, it doesn't suit those kind of maps. If it's engaged in any kind of frontal duel with another tank, it's going to lose, because it will quite frequently fail to penetrate with the 9cm gun, and they generally won't fail to penetrate back. Now, it can bounce the odd shot, the turret's well rounded and there's good sloping in the armour, but it's purely a matter of luck and happenstance. It's not something you can rely on. So I gave up. I had 200,000 experience, free experience in the bank ready to go, and I used it. So initially, after about 20 games, I think, I went for the ultimate 9cm package. This got me a slight improvement in that I had penetration didn't change, but the aim time dropped to 2.3 seconds, and the accuracy improved to 0.32, and I thought that might be enough to get me through weak spots in armour and things like that. But I didn't actually find a whole lot of benefit to it, and I think it's just more to do with the fact that I probably would have to be completely spamming premium in order to see a difference with the increase in aim time. I'd still probably have to be using exclusively premium ammunition to make it work. And I just gave up at that point and said, right, we'll give it a go in a few games in the 10.5cm gun, because the 10.5cm gun is the famous L7A1 British Royal Ordnance gun that comes with the Centurion 7.1. It's the top gun on the Charioteer. It occurs quite a few places, I think, in the British Tech Tree, and it's a really good gun. A lot of the Centurion variants use it if they're not using the 20-pounder, and it has 2.1 second aiming time, 0.32 accuracy, but it's got 268 base penetration, 330 because it uses heat. Because it's a German tank, no, it's not British, it's not using Hesh. So, that said, I actually haven't used the heat much. The APCR is generally enough. And I find that heat can be actually quite problematic, particularly on tanks with spaced armor and stuff like that, or tanks with very large tracks, because they tend to absorb the heat, and no damage is done to the actual tank. So you're better off with the APCR most of the time anyway. And I then had a few more games in it. I also had a few games in it since the weekend, so that we had a slightly more expanded playlist. And we just got shot there by the Love, and we're just about to die actually, because we're very vulnerable at this point. And in spite of our numerical advantage, the team is about to lose. So, I was still thinking at the time when I actually upgraded to the L7 gun that I was going to maybe free XP tank with the first chance I got, that I was actually very unhappy with this tank. But I think if you adjust your playstyle and try and keep the tank as alive at the early game, but this gun is actually a bit of a transformation. Now I skipped a bit of the game there because I was saying hello to Retro Jules, who was also in this game on my team. Needless to say, we're lost. I don't know whose fault it was, but anyway, I'm not blaming anybody. Actually, I don't know how it came about, because our tanks, we were two to three tanks up at one stage here, and I think we just lost the firefight down on the dunes. Sometimes people do, even though they have enough tanks, you would say, to do it in theory, they just don't manage it. But yes, I found this a very frustrating tank, and it is. It's been a while since I've just skipped through to the end on a tank and just said, right, I'm not doing it, not having this. I'm not in this anymore to sort of work at it. I want to do it when it's fun. So I've basically skipped most of this tank and gone straight through to the Top Gun. And I do think it makes a big difference. Now, this is a battle where this tank, shall we say, shines, because it's I was able to use the gun to its maximum advantage. Now, I did something that I don't normally do here. Well, first of all, I'm the only tier 9 on my team, and there's only one tier 9 on the enemy team. So this is a huge advantage in this battle anyway. The second thing, but I think I would do it even in a higher tier battle with this tank, is that I came down here to the heavy tank side. Normally I would take a medium tank up to the northwest corner. The problem with fighting at the northwest corner is that it's essentially a long range duel between the position there at A4 and the B1, the enemy at B1, where you're trying to plink away at hull down tanks, and they're doing the same back at you. You're hull down as well, and there's no advantage to being hull down on a Leopard. The turret isn't that good. It's well rounded, but it's not good enough to really stop rounds reliably. So the thing is that there you see with the artillery, that was a miss. But he removed half my hit points, and that was through the strongest armor in the tank. Imagine if he had landed that shot behind me. And he took out my loader as well. Now, I left the loader alone because I thought I didn't really need the rate of fire here, or I did for most of the game, because this is the kind of location. So I decided the reason I came down here was because of this. This tank has a really good view range. It's one of the big advantages, aside from its mobility. is the view range of this tank. And in this location you can come up, you can snap off shots fairly quickly because of the fast aim times of the tank. I underestimate on several occasions how fast my reload's going to go, and I jump the gun a little. And I also try and pop up when I'm not spotted, because if you're spotted when you actually come up, they can anticipate, they can be waiting for you to crest the ridge and just shoot at you as you come over the top of the ridge. And with a Leopard prototype, it doesn't matter, they're going to probably penetrate anyway, short of maybe hitting the gun mantlet or bounces off the side of the turret or something. So you're going to take more damage than there. So the same way you should avoid hold down positions with this tank, it's not going to help. In fact, my advice in this tank is if you're in any kind of trouble at all, if you're finding yourself in a position that's in any way problematic, just use the speed of the tank and leave. And if you succeed in leaving, that's good, because you can open up the distance, make you a harder target to hit, and just use the accuracy of the gun to take advantage of the situation from a longer range and from just more make distance your armor. Either try and be completely hidden, or just accept the fact that you're going to get spotted when you fire, but duck back immediately and use the distance as your armor. Because you see, the thing is, even if there's only a fraction of a second between the time I become unspotted and the time I crest the ridge. See, I crested the ridge there. Now, I was lucky to bounce the shot, but I crested the ridge there while I was spotted, so somebody had actually already pre-aimed their gun in anticipation. But once there's some kind of a break between you being spotted and cresting the ridge, the chances are there'll be an acquisition time. The person will have to move their gun to actually target you properly, and then they'll have to generally wait a second or two for the gun to aim. And by that time you'll probably have snapped your shot off and gone back, or be already pulling back into cover, so there's an increased chance they're going to miss. So I was able to exploit this position to that advantage for quite some time. I spent a little too long there just trying to acquire the top of the 45 TP. Although I didn't take much damage. I don't know what he hit me with, but I don't seem to have taken much in the line of damage. Now, I don't think the 45 TP can see me, even when I fire. They're particularly blind tanks. I think he's relying on the Soviet heavy tanks behind the rock to actually spot me. And if they're not poking out, I'm not being spotted now. That I've gotten rid of most of the, either directly or with assistance, most of the other tanks along this line. And the 45 TP, as I said, isn't going to spot me. I think he's just got his engine or his tracks taken out. And he's gone. So I'm going to go after the heavies. I actually thought there was only one, that one of them had died. But it turns out there's two heavies around here. Now I did bring my gun or loader back, because I thought I'd need the DPM if one of these things came out after me. But they didn't. I managed to take them both. They were both one shots, and I managed to penetrate with both shots. This guy didn't even know I was here. I think he was so busy focused on the other side of the rock. So we continue forward, and we've, as you can see, we've done pretty well on the damage already. That T-29 is dead in the water, and he knows it. I think he's tracked and he can do nothing about it. But I think this turned out to be one of the highest combined damage games that I've ever done. I think it's certainly up there with them. It's not the most damage that I've done directly with a single tank, which I think is the Death Star, where I have 7,900 and something damage done. The artillery, I'd say that T-29 is AFK, so we're just farming damage at this point. But I think when you combine the two of them together, it's certainly one of my higher scoring games. And this tank, I think, has the potential to do more. If I had probably repaired the loader at the start of that fight, when he was injured, I'd have possibly another 2 or 3 seconds of shots. 2 or 3 shots made from that position, and that might have been worth another about 500. What am I talking about? 700 damage or so. So we got a high caliber and an ace tanker out of this. So we did 4,687 damage, nearly 4,000 assisted damage. And of course we got an ace tanker out of it. We came number 1 by experience. So overall, I suppose I should be fairly pleased with that result. So the tank can be made to work. It's just not a playstyle that I particularly like. I suppose though it's useful to know how to do it when you can, or that you can do it. But I wouldn't have the patience, I think, to put up with this tank with the 9cm gun. But with the 105, yeah, that's a pretty good gun. And you can really make the tank work for yourself for that situation. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please press like, comment, share. It really helps the channel out. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.